Today, we're going to be talking about finding your voice. We're going to be talking to an executive speech coach, Miss Sarah Gershman, who really changed the game from asking, how do I impress them to how can I help them, which helped transform the way clients showed up at work, in boardrooms, on stage, and even in everyday conversations that matter to them.
This ain't your average healing chat. It's healing through conversations with me, Loveli Brown. Real talk, deep healing, zero fluff.
I feel like when we get to meet and speak with people who are in positions to advance us, to help us grow, to give us permission to use our voice, but help guide us in ways that give us freedom to be present in where we are, freedom to find purpose in our voice, and freedom to stop editing ourselves when we are in these spaces and to bring our fullest self to each conversation. Miss Gershman has over 20 years of experience helping professionals, leaders, and organizations communicate with confidence, clarity, and authenticity. I think this conversation is going to be so good because I feel like, particularly in our private lives, we have such a hard time articulating how we feel because we get caught in the thought process. We get caught on the hamster wheels of what if, how come, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And I love talking to people who not only want to help you reclaim your voice, but they want you to be as present as possible while you're doing it. And I said, Miss Sarah, you want to come over here and talk to me? She said, yeah. I said, oh, let's do it. Hey guys, welcome to the Healing Through Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Loveli Brown, your holistic mental health advocate, as well as your relationship and confidence rebuilding coach. Today we have a special guest, Miss Sarah Gershman. The reason why she's here is because her spirit is so addictive. Not only does she want to help you figure out who you are, she wants to help you figure out how to stop trying to impress people and figure out really how to help the people who need your assistance. There's so much knowledge that all of us carry around, and we get stuck in our heads about our low self-esteem and our low self-confidence and what does our self-worth mean and how much do we bring to the event when your whole spirit is what got you to that event. So I love when I get to speak to someone who not only talks life into women, but talks life into people in every aspect of life. So, Sarah, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast.
Well, thank you, Lovely. It's such a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you so, so much. So, 20-year-old Sarah, what did 20-year-old Sarah want to do?
Well, 20-year-old Sarah was in a totally different place. I was an educator, and I, on the side, always was involved with theater. So I did lots of plays and I directed children's theater. But I thought, okay, I want to, work in community organizations and be an educator. And I had no idea the path that I would take. So I was actually in a play. I was understudying the part of Maria in The Sound of Music, which was my dream. And I understudied it, by the way, because there was a professional actress playing Maria. And so she needed to be able to, it was a children's theater production.
Mm-hmm.
She needed to be able to go off and
Do her thing.
do her thing. And so I got to play, like, I got the dress rehearsal. They let me do it, and which was super fun. And then I discovered that the director of the play ran this communications coaching firm. And I realized, oh, I want to help people speak in public. And so I gave up the first career and started from scratch. And then that's where I am today.
Wow. But you know what? It really does help me understand the joy that you have, because when you can be in a place with children whose hearts are so pure and open and excited about what they want to do, and particularly in theater, where you just get to be your weird self all day, every day. You can sing, nobody asks you questions. You can paint, nobody asks you questions. You can be yourself. That would be such a wonderful place for your spirit to develop, and then to meet somebody who helps you see a light in yourself that you didn't even know. Like, huh, talk to me more about this communications. Well, tell me a little bit more about what's happening. So
Uh,
when you first started, you worked for a firm?
So when I first started, I didn't. What I did was I just learned from he was really my mentor and I learned from him, but then I started out on my own. And you're so right what you said about children, that there was like something incredibly fulfilling about seeing these children just fully express themselves on stage and the
Mm.
confidence that they had. And especially the ones who really were hesitant at the beginning. And so I realized that I want to try to help adults with that same thing.
I love that. And I love that. I know for me, it took me probably to my mid 30s to start speaking up for myself because I started one wisdom and experience,
Right.
right? But the second thing is that I found my voice and I stopped being afraid to hear it. And I
Mhm.
think that that by itself is dangerous for anybody. When you finally accept that this is the voice that I was given and I can figure out how to make this voice advance me or deteriorate me, right? I can use it in all of these different ways. But when you go into the average business, what problem do you see that a lot of us face when it comes to communication?
So, across all of the industries that I work in, I see the same thing over and over again, which is that people are fundamentally, for the most part, great at their jobs. Whether they're engineers or lawyers or doctors or whatever it is, they're very good at their jobs. Then very often something happens when they like speak in public, when they have to give a presentation or they have to speak at a board meeting, and suddenly they don't sound like themselves. Suddenly they get a little bit tongue tied or they ramble too much or they give too much detail. They don't seem to connect with the people they're talking to. And I think what's happening, the problem here is that there's something about speaking to a group that all of a sudden you feel like everyone's watching you, and
Yeah.
then you can't, it's harder to be yourself because when you're self-conscious, when you're
Mhm.
focused on everybody's looking at me, then it's very hard to actually just be present with the people that you're talking to. And so, what I try to help people do, the problem I help them solve is how to undo that and retrain their brains to experience, just as you said in that beautiful introduction. And I feel so understood by you, to retrain their brains to really think about communication and public speaking. And I put that in quotes deliberately, as a gift, as just, I'm here just like I am in my everyday work. I'm here to help. I'm not here to impress you. Whether I impress you or not is really not that important. What matters is, did you get what you needed?
I love that. I love that. Was there a time in your career where you had a hard time speaking in public, or have you always been a great speaker in public?
Well, I remember when I was in sixth grade, I had to deliver a poem. It was a Langston Hughes poem, and I had to deliver the poem in front of the whole school. And I remember having massive but unexpected stage fright. I
Mm,
got up there and I remember feeling dizzy. And and even though I knew that poem cold, it completely went out of my head.
yes.
And so I've had other experiences of being nervous for sure, but that was one that I think was very formative. And a lot of times, by the way, that is what happens. Somebody has an experience early on in their life that impacts how they experience this.
I couldn't agree more. I akin it to if someone was pushed into the pool and then they no longer want to swim anymore, right?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
trauma that they have, almost PTSD that
Yeah.
no, people are going to see me. And I know that a lot of the times things I've learned in speech class. I stare at people's ears, not because of your ears, but because it allows me to look at you, but away from you so that I can
Right.
keep my thought. And also, just from growing up and trying to work through childhood trauma, I can fall into like a disassociative space for myself. And so I try to make sure that like I can count things, I can smell things, I can see things so that I stay very focused,
Mm.
because I find that when I see someone freeze up, I'm like, I know you can do this. And sometimes you just have to smile back at them. Like, I see, instead of that blank stare that happens where they're like looking around and it's like, why isn't nobody? I'm like, I feel like you have to do like you're in church. You got it, baby. You can do this.
Well, you're probably the ideal audience member. You give a lot of feedback, you know, smile at people, you're so encouraging and warm. And so many people aren't like that because honestly, they're just not thinking about it.
Yeah,
They're
no,
listening, but they're distracted. They're thinking about what they're going to make for dinner. And because we get so self-conscious up there, we interpret those signs as being about us.
yes,
And then we try to, you know, block them and just stay in our heads so that we're not hurt by them.
yeah,
And what I try to help people do is what I call break down the wall between you and the audience. And even the person who's like on their phone and they're just seemingly totally distracted, to approach them with generosity,
yeah.
and to like try to help open them up to the experience, even if that person stays on their phone and doesn't look up. The act of trying to do that then permeates the room, and
Mm-hmm.
people feel like welcomed and connected to, as opposed to, you know, ignoring that person. So that's, and it's hard. It's
It's
very
yeah.
hard to do that. There is no question, and it doesn't happen like immediately, but it's totally doable.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I had this idea when I first started my podcast. I didn't like hearing my voice at all.
Ah,
It was so hard going back to listen to my voice. Not that I don't talk all day. I talk all day. But just having that conversation with yourself, learning how to embrace your imperfections, learning how to listen to the cadence of your voice, learning how to breathe properly, learning how to like fight I always say when the anxiety kicks in and it freezes up the muscles in your throat and then the tears ready start, how to like calm those things down,
mhm.
right? I'm like, I used to focus, I'm like, I'm in a yellow dress. I'm with my friends. We're standing at a wine vineyard. We're laughing and joking. There's music behind us. Like trying to find the focus. But a lot of that comes with having a coach like you or a trainer like you, someone who will help you articulate your particular thoughts and feelings, not their particular thoughts and feelings. And I think that in speech, that's so important because we all speak a different language, even if we all speak English.
I think that is so beautifully said. And I want to actually go back to something you said in the beginning about how people don't like the sound of their voice and how like it's really hard to listen to a recording of yourself and to hear imperfect, like what you perceive as
Mm-hmm.
imperfections in the way that you sound that somebody else may not perceive at all. It makes us very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And it's always struck me, why is it? I really believe that human beings are in some way designed to not like the sound of their own voice. Like it's such a bizarre thing,
It
right?
really,
Why? Like
it really
and I think it's somehow perhaps, I'm just thinking about this now, a metaphor for, it's not just your physical voice, right? It's a metaphor for self-acceptance
Mm-hmm.
and looking in the mirror and reflecting on yourself and actually listening to yourself as opposed to just putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that it takes some growth and some time to
Yes.
develop that kind of self-acceptance.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I kept saying to my husband, I said, every time I have to go back and listen to this video, oh my gosh, do I sound that squeaky or am I that loud? And he's looking at me like, I've been listening to you my whole life. I don't even know what you're talking about.
What, and also
Right?
you have a beautiful voice.
Thank
Like
you
your
so much.
voice is awesome. You don't need
Thank
to
you.
work on it at all. But
Thank
I
you.
get it because that's just the way it is.
Yes. And I said, you know what? Okay, I used to say all the time, like, okay, so if you think it's fine, it's fine. Even though, when a woman says it's fine, It's probably never fine. But I was like, you have to fake it until you make it, right? And then
Right.
you keep working on it. And that was like just like that was a not only a revolution for me and like accepting myself and saying, you know what? I don't believe that God put me here to judge myself like this. Like
Right.
he's given me
Right.
so many other tasks to do. This one task is something you could give up, you know?
Totally. And also the 100% and the judgment prevents us from doing the other tasks. That's the thing, right? When our minds are focused on, oh, I did this wrong, I did this wrong, I can't believe I said that, or maybe they didn't react to me, then we're not actually doing our real job, which
Yeah.
is actually communicating our message. So that's the other piece, is that the judgment really is a stumbling block towards achieving what we need to achieve in the world.
I love that. I really, really love that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to take that with me and put that in my little purse. I love that. I love that. So when you are coaching, because not only have you coached some very high level, woo, the names, I'm like, at some point I was waiting for like you to drop Oprah's name out there. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. Did you talk to Gail? Tell Gail I want to come by. But I love that not only do you focus on these high level executives, management supervisors, but you also try to make sure that women understand how important their voice is in this world. And I'm sure you, being a woman in this field for as long as you have, you've come across some adversity yourself, walls of people who said, well, how are you going to teach me how to speak when I already know what I'm doing? I've been this far. And you're like, I know, but you could be better. And that's what I love about women, because we're like, but you could be a little bit better. And I can help you do that.
Yes.
So
Yes, it's so true.
how have you dealt with the climb in your business and in your career and your reputation when you face adversity with people who may have pushed you? And how do you help women understand their voices fully?
It's a great question. So, with regards to the first one, it's taken time for sure. And I've been doing this, for over 20 years. But I have developed over the years a very clear understanding of where I can help people. And I've learned to realize that that's me. That is my gift to the world.
Mm.
It's not for everyone, but I know what it is. And so that has helped enormously with the adversity on that front.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to working with women, there's so much to say here. I
Bring it.
so some one thing that I see over and over again with the women I work with is that they have many women that I work with are very good at being polished. They're very prepared, very almost like in a formal way. They know their stuff, they are ready. And what ends up happening, the irony of this is that let's say you'll have a panel with a man and a woman. And by the way, I know I'm generalizing here. This is just my observation.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not always like this.
Yes.
Very often, the woman will be far more competent, more prepared, more polished. The man, on the other hand, will sit back and relax a little more, look around, joke around a little more, much more conversational. And what happens here is that ends up actually raising his status in the room.
Yeah.
And so even though it's very frustrating because even though the woman actually may know more, she's more prepared, she's like actually more competent, ready. So one of the things that I do when I work with women executives, and also women at all levels,
Yeah. Yeah. No,
is help
definitely.
them like just loosen up and actually just be present with what's happening in the room and bring out their true personality. Like help them bring more fun and just be more authentic, be themselves. And then what ends up happening is that all of that competence and polish and everything stays, but it just gets filtered through a much more authentic delivery that ends up then raising their status.
which I love. And I will say, as a high achieving achiever, I know what an
Uh-huh.
achiever looks like. Um, in corporate spaces, when you, I always say I spent the first 10 years in corporate America very straight laced, straight hair, long dresses.
Ah,
I spoke a certain way. There was no personality. None of this ever made it out, ever.
none of that background that I see.
None of this background was there.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
And I had children and was married, and I hit my early 30s.
Okay.
And I said, if I'm ever going to be the Black woman that I want to be, that I'm proud to be, this is it, right? And I have
Mhm.
these young children who are looking at me and trying to figure out how to maneuver through the world. I started having great conversations with friends who looked at me as an authority in different spaces. And I didn't want to show up as anybody else other than me. But I also knew that I had a lot of work to do, working through not only trauma, working through how I wanted my marriage to look and how I wanted my children, and who was I without all of those titles. And I didn't have an answer for that. But I knew that in the corporate space, I could pull it off. And so that straight laced person kind of started falling away, because the more the straight lace fell away, the better the work got, the stronger the
Uh,
work got, because I could be me. I didn't have to think about, don't forget to talk like this. Don't forget to walk like this. Don't forget, like you said earlier, you're trying to be the robot when your body is like, we don't even move like that.
And we don't talk like that.
Yes.
Right? The
Yes.
whole thing. I mean, that story, that really says it all. And what I appreciate so much about what you said is that the work got better. Right? That's the thing. It's not just that you felt better or that you were more authentic, that you maybe had better relationships. I'm sure all of that
Yeah.
happened. You felt better, right? But that actually the work that you were doing got better because essentially you could just free yourself up to do the work. And I can see it in talking to you that your deep authenticity is just contagious, and it just elevates you on such a deep level.
Thank you so, so much. And you're so right. I try to explain to women when they walk into corporate spaces. I said, I know it's very hard because what you're taught at home, and depending on all these cultural differences,
Right.
you're taught that you have to, if you can't, become the soldier, you're not going to fit in. It's not going to work out for you. And in some areas, that's very true. Like we cannot pretend that, like, in some areas you have to really formulate to this assimilate to this thing and you have to be there.
Right.
But where you can be yourself, and the volunteer work, like, learn how to figure out ways to add yourself to your task. If you're asked to speak, or if you are going to go out and represent your company, bring your personality to that, because the people on the outside will start having this idea of you. They'll start feeling so connected to you
Yeah.
that the people on the inside will start trying to figure out, how come we never met that person? Like,
100%. And I actually work with some companies that are very formal, where, a lot of people came from the military and there is a deep sense of hierarchy.
hmm
And so even in those, just because that's the culture, right?
yeah,
That's just the culture.
yeah,
And at the same time, it is absolutely possible to be deeply authentic in whatever culture you're in. Obviously you have to play by certain rules and
yeah,
respect the rules of the culture.
yeah,
Um, but there's such freedom to be authentic in ways that you don't expect in those situations as well.
yeah. No, I love that. And I love that you said something earlier, particularly with children being able to free themselves, and how you took what you learned from them and you wanted to teach adults how to do that, right? To let go a little bit and to breathe a little bit more and to have a little bit of levity to who they were as people, because we're all still little kids trying to figure it out.
We
I
are.
mean,
We
we
are.
really try to be adults, and it's not the best place to go sometimes. Like sometimes you just want to sit on the floor with some jacks and that's it. Like leave me be, please. I just don't want it. How many times you going to listen to that song until I learn it every line I used to do that. I used to love Broadway because I was raised with my mom and my uncle who raised me, and he did drag.
Oh,
And because
oh
he did
wow.
drag, he did like we were Barbara Streisand and we were Lena Horne and we were Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers and
Amazing.
right. So I got to like be a part of a culture that really kind of praised women and raised their voices, but also the theatrics. Like if you've never been to like a drag show that's like multi-talented, I'm begging you to do it just a little bit because
Oh, sure.
though
Sure. Yeah.
there was a freedom in that,
Yeah. I
you
love
know?
that. I love that. It's and that's so wonderful that you got to be exposed to that as a child and get to
Yes.
see that celebration and freedom and creativity. That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was like something I love. But I love how you're taking that and bringing that into the workplace where you're teaching us that you can find joy and fulfillment and connection and vulnerability in spaces that don't always feel like that's acceptable. And that I mean, I'm sure you've had some moments where you were like, Sarah, how are we going to pull this one off? But
Yeah, well, a big thing that I do, sort of the exact opposite of Broadway on some level, but I'll get back to that in a moment, is I work with people on very highly technical, data heavy presentations. So I
Mhm.
would say the vast majority of what I do is when people are in complex technical fields and they have to present hardcore data.
Okay.
And what I help people realize and help people do is that they're really just telling a story. And yes, I'm not telling them to turn their, data presentation into a performance of Chicago. That's
But
not
hey,
what I'm
it would be
saying.
interesting. It would
It
keep
would
us
be
awake.
interesting, but that's not gonna fly. But what I am saying is that the data you present is you're taking the audience on a journey. You're taking them on a journey from not understanding something to understanding it, or you're taking them on a journey from seeing that we really struggled over here, but we
Mhm.
persevered, and this is how we're gonna do even better. And that they can turn what it could be a really boring presentation into a meaningful story that doesn't hide from the data,
Yeah.
doesn't try to be something it's not, but actually takes the audience on a meaningful journey.
I love that because, working in legal field, you really read the law, you will fall asleep. You really will.
Yep.
I'm like, there's what? I can't. What is happening? What's the new law? Did I read it correctly? I remember when I first started working in the legal field, I had a chance to work in family law and criminal law. The
Okay.
only two sectors where the litigation and depositions will keep you on your toes. It's like nothing. You think you watch TV and you're like, oh no, real life is so much better. It's so much better. And we would sit down, and it's amazing how people have stage fright when they're standing in front of a crowd of 20. But
Yeah.
when you are listening to and or a part of depositions or you're in litigation and you listen to people really articulate what was happening, what was going on, they're so great at it because they're passionate about it.
Right.
And that's
Right.
what I would say, like, you help people find, even in the mundane, find the passion in what they're trying to present.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And they know the outcome they want. They're trying to persuade someone. They know what it's going to take to persuade them, and then it gets fun. Even if you're, and most of the time you can find something in there that is compelling.
I love it. I love it. So what does future Sarah want to do? Do you want to continue to coach? Are you going to expand on anything? Will Broadway be another part of your life again?
Well, I do have some fantasy of one day, like, directing the plays in my retirement home.
Hey, you got to start
Let's see
somewhere.
whether yeah, start somewhere. But I so one of the well, there's a few things. One of the things that I did recently was I took a risk and I created my first online class.
Mm.
It's called Speakers RX, and it's a class that's designed to help people overcome speaking anxiety. And the reason why I did it is because I help people with this on an individual basis so much, and I end up saying the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And so I see that it's a pervasive issue that so many people struggle with. And I'm not talking about like stage fright when you're giving a big talk, but it's that feeling of anxiety when you have to just present to your boss or
Mhm.
present on a conference call. And so this is designed to help with that. And so that's one of the things that I have done recently that want to put out into the world to help people solve this problem.
And what's the name of it again?
It's called Speakers RX, like the prescription.
That's what I was gonna say. She's prescribing you guys something to do. I love it.
Yeah.
I love when someone does that. I mean, because I know that when you are in particularly attached to mental health, when you already struggle a bit with anxiety
Yep.
and you have to be a part of a class, or sometimes it's very hard even sitting in front of your coach
Hmm. Hmm.
working on these things. Having a class that you can take and then say, okay, I've taken this class. I feel a little bit stronger. Maybe now I can hire someone in person. It gives you steps towards a bigger goal. And that to me is great.
I think that's right. That's right. And we've talked a lot about law firms, it's really hard, obviously, for associates to do professional development because it's often inside their billable hours. And so this is just designed, you could do it on the weekend, right? It's something that where you can develop a skill, especially by the way, with AI, where AI obviously is taking different parts of people's jobs, especially the writing, and it
Hmm.
becomes so much more important, even more important to be able to be in the room and persuade and be present and have that like executive presence when you're in the room with someone. And so this is a way to do that like on your own time. And I totally hear you also like privately so that you can work on it without being self-conscious in a class.
Yeah, because I know that like a lot of the students that we run into, especially the 1Ls or the 2Ls, that they're kind of coming through these spaces. They're looking around and you can see them like trying to find a friend so they can latch on to so they don't have to have an outside conversation. And then you'll see them the next year and they get a little bit better and a little bit better. And then you'll see them out and about at like a gala or something. Oh my gosh. And they're talking on stage and you're cheering for them and
Oh,
so I love to see that. And I know that not just in corporate spaces, but even being an entrepreneur and having to pitch that by itself, the anxiety of pitching,
oh yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
like that
Yeah.
by, I'm like, I just want to talk to the wall. Just let me talk to the wall and get myself together. But
Yeah.
taking classes, learning how to hear your own voice and trusting your voice is so important to everyday life. But in particular, when you're going to be putting yourself in front of people who are going to question if you are the authority in that space.
100%. And I think pitching is a great example of that because invariably the reason why you're pitching someone is because they're not convinced. And so they have skepticism. And that is scary. And so one of the things that I help people who are pitching do is it's a technique that I call matching the tone of the skeptic. And it's essentially
Ooh.
it's both anticipating, not just anticipating the skepticism, but it's embodying the skepticism. So it's saying something like, I can imagine if I were sitting in your shoes right now, I'd be asking, there's a million people doing this. Why should I listen to you? And if you notice, like I did that in that kind of like,
And that boasty, yes.
yeah, like,
Yes. Cynical
and
tone. Yes.
cynical tone. Right.
Yeah.
And so then what you want is them to nod their head and to say, exactly. And now they're listening. And so now it's very disarming. At that point, that's where you can explain why what you're offering is different. But having the courage to not just name the skepticism, but to embody it is like that's how you are present with the people in the room because you're actually thinking like they're thinking, and it's very compelling.
I love that. It's almost when you were in high school or in elementary, really it's middle school. That's like, you know, when you were like combating the bully before they could get to you, you would
Yes.
crack the joke,
Yep.
and then
Yep. Yep.
it
Yep.
would
Yep.
deflate the air. They would be like, ah,
Right. Right.
you know, it's like,
There's a great scene in 8 Mile where
yeah,
Eminem does that.
oh, that's one of my favorites because it's just that one part because it's like
Yeah. That
you,
that one part makes the movie.
it
Right.
really does.
Right.
And I
Right.
say all the time when I'm talking to my children, I said, listen, if you know who you are, you don't have to ever pretend to be anything else.
Ugh.
If you tell your truth, you never have to figure out a lie. Trust me, you're gonna lie, then you're not gonna remember the lie, then you're gonna try to figure out what the first lie was, and it's just not even worth it anymore. And not that there are gonna be some times where you gotta like tap dance to get out of a situation because life is crazy that way. But just knowing that you can use your voice to change the outcome of so many things. And I'm proud of who they've become. I have my oldest and my youngest just graduated grad school.
Oh wow.
And they were insane. This house was in the amount of like, I can't do this. That was happening
While they were in grad school.
while they were in grad school
Mhm.
and working full time and
Oh,
trying to volunteer because to try to get the hours for the degree and the master's was insane. And my son, he is working with my husband. So my husband and I, we've had a business for 25 years. We do commercial real estate and all the things. So like just watching my children learn how to use their voice to go from like their little tiger roars to like a big lion roar, like get it together has been wonderful. But I think I looked at the world the same way you looked at the world. Like these kids have the amount of truth and honesty that children have in them and the amount of pure joy that they have in them if it's not taken away from them
right.
and the creativity that they have in them when you allow them to express themselves is what we need as adults so bad.
Yes, and your kids are so lucky that you foster that in them and that you tell them to just speak your truth and just be your fully yourself. It's such a blessing for your kids.
I love
It's
them. They're so good. I used to do report cards. I don't do it as much anymore. I used to do mommy report cards, but like, tell me how mommy's doing. What do I need to do different?
oh,
That's
that's
very
good.
hard. That's a
That's
very hard
good.
space.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I also find I'm just entering into the stage of my life where of parenting adult children.
Yes.
And it's such a learning curve, right? To figure out like what they need and how to give them space, but be there. And I don't know. It's everything you were saying about them watching them express their voice in a just in a different stage of life. That
I always say, I'm
different.
like, I felt like all of my children will be 24, 26, and 29.
Um,
So they're adults, like in full adult.
they're yeah
Yes.
yeah yeah yeah.
But I find that they call me more now, like they're in the toddler stage of adulthood in their 20s, going into this like childlike stage, right? They still want to know that you hold my hand. Like, are you there? Did you see me? And I realized my youngest is in the did you see me do it stage versus my son, who's the middle child. He's like, I'm going out and I'm gonna call you. Keep your phone next to you. And I said, okay. And my oldest is the one who calls and says, Mom, they asked me for my social security number. Do I have to give it to them? And so, but they also do the same thing to my husband. They call him
Interesting.
for the things because they're like, you're our parents. Why would we not call you? I'm like,
That's really interesting. I love what you said about the toddler stage of adulthood.
yes.
So wise. Like, and I remember myself going through that.
Like, you
That
want me to use my real legs?
it's such a tumultuous time.
Yes.
And in some ways, you're really starting over.
Very
Uh,
much
although
so.
you're expected to do it yourself at this point.
I
And
always
so that's really profound.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm like, I used to say at 17, at 364 days, I had to raise my hand to go to the bathroom. And the
Yeah.
next day,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could go to jail just because, and my mom couldn't come just get me out. Like, she couldn't tell you that I
Right.
was her child and you can't. So just realizing that from my upbringing, I knew that there were things that I wanted to do different. And I said, you know what? I understand that in your 20s, there's so much exploration. Like toddlers, they put everything in their mouth, they talk back, they they are interested in these little things. They find their little niches that they want to be a part of, but they genuinely want you to support them. They want to know, they still want the mom and the dad to look at them, but they're trying to figure out how to also include their friends in that and how
Mhm.
to include a new partner in that and what it looks like to go off on your own. And are you going to still be there? Can I FaceTime you and you're going to still be there, right? Like you're going to still.
100%.
Yeah.
Just like the toddler is no longer like the baby anymore who's
Yeah.
being held all the time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so that was really big for me, like in that space. And my children really have helped me with my communication skills 100%, because I feel like without them kind of testing me and showing me what it means to have unconditional love through all of the ups and downs we all go through. Because the talking backstage is very hard. It is very, like, you use your mouth to talk back. I gave you that mouth. Why would you
Getting them out.
do that? Why would you do that? Oh my gosh. Okay, so my last question that I try to do: if you could go back to your younger self and give her one piece of advice about communication, what would you give her? What would you tell her?
I think I would tell her to have fun. That that not to be so I mean, let me be clear. I wasn't like I didn't have fun as a kid, but I think there was a sense when I was communicating in some sort of a public space that it needed to be perfect, that it needed to be, I don't know, formal or whatever it was. And I think I would have just said, it's okay, have fun. It's going to be good.
I love that. I'm with you. I would have told you I can do this by myself. Like, let your arms down. Like, why are you so tight? Like, I don't know. What if they don't like me? It's like, see, I'm like, when you're so young, you're worried about people liking you. The older you get, you're like, they don't like me. Good. Like, I can focus on the people who love me now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And I even had that experience just the other day where I I recently I actually just started playing the harp. It was just like a dream of mine. I'd
Oh
always
my
wanted to do.
gosh.
And
Strings are my
so
favorite. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, so I for the first time played in front of people. I actually played so I was the background music of a Mother's Day brunch for a senior center. And I was so nervous and I practiced over and over again. And I just felt like, oh, it's different. Music is different than speaking because the notes actually do have to be perfect or then it doesn't sound right. Like I had this whole narrative in my head. And the truth is, like when I allowed myself to just have fun with it, I played so much better. It was really like an eye-opening experience that it's not just speaking. It's
Mm.
music. It's anytime you're doing something that requires focus, concentration, when you free yourself up a little bit to have fun with it and enjoy it, there's something that happens in your brain where things get smoother.
Nothing else to say from that, because I would say amen, because that it makes such a big difference in how you see yourself. And, I always say, what letter am I leaving to the world? What letter am I writing to my family? Right. And when you read my life, I want there to be some joy and some happiness and some peace. But I want there to be some moments when you were a little scandalized. You say, oh my goodness, when did you do that? Like, clutch your pearls a little bit. I was a little bit of a firecracker. Not really. I can only be a firecracker for about 2 hours and then I go in the house because there's too many people outside. But it's just, I love that. I love that you are deciding that you want your legacy to be all of these different versions of Sarah because
Oh,
there's
thank
so
you.
many different versions of Sarah out there that all of us deserve to enjoy, you know?
Thank
So
you, Lovely. I feel the same way about you, and this has been such a joy to talk to you, and I'm so grateful.
thank you so much. So tell everybody where they can find you, your social handles. Tell us about your program again so they'll know how to get in touch with you.
Sure. So I'm Sarah Gershman, and my company is Green Room Speakers, greenroomspeakers.com. And you can reach me through that website. You can also find out about Speakers RX, my online course, through that website. And I would be delighted to speak with you and explore how I can help you and help your organization.
This is so good. I am so grateful that you spent this time with me. I thank you so much. Thank you guys. I'll talk
A
to you soon.
pleasure.
That was so good. Guys, I took my glasses off. Can y'all tell I was having a hot flash in the middle of recording the podcast? And I'm telling you, I love people like Sarah. I love people who see the glasses half full, the people who are trying to figure out ways to make the world better and more personable and more human and more connective and more compassionate, but who are also allowing you to be your professional self. Like that is a skill by itself. Also, she playing the harp. I said, wait a minute, babes. You're about to Beethoven me down. I'm about to be out here with some Mozart. Don't come for me. I remember playing classical music for my babies. And as they got older, they were requested because it was like our thing to do in the car. And so being able to be connected with not only a theater woman, but somebody who's gone back and deciding that she can learn a whole, like, start doing it all over again. Don't know. Better. How beautiful is that? I I will probably get on this lady's nerves with the amount of times I will take this course because I'm one of those people that once I get a course, I will beat that course to death because, I mean, one, yes, I do want to get an A, but I want to learn from it because being able to do this podcast, being able to talk to you guys, being able to connect with women. I know what it feels like to not understand your own voice. I know what it feels like to not want to even hear your own voice because you're not even sure if it's your voice. I know what it feels like to have my voice shake when I'm talking because I was afraid, but I did it anyway. Right. And that's what I encourage you to do. Do it anyway. You're afraid to speak in front of people. Do it anyway. They don't even know the parts that you messed up on. If you have something that you need to get off your chest and you are learning how to do it with healthy communication skills, say the thing that you need to say. If you are in a position where you deserve a raise or you deserve a new position, you have something that you can add to your team, say it anyway, even if your voice is shaking, even if you have to go to the bathroom after you finish and like get your pits together because your underarms feel all sweaty because you didn't probably almost pass out. Do it anyway. You deserve to be seen, heard. You deserve to be affirmed with who you are. And you deserve to have people around you who want to see you win. I'm telling you, the reason why I started this podcast and the reason why I walked into the coaching space was because I know what it feels like to not be heard. I know what it feels like to not be seen. And I know what it feels like to not be affirmed. And I never wanted another woman to feel that way once I understood what it looked like to have those things really be a part of your life. So thank you guys so much for being a part of my podcast. I hope you stick around. I want to I want to grow with you guys because that's what we're going to do. Remember, we are learning how to articulate our feelings, wants, needs, and desires so that we can better advocate for ourselves and the people that we love. And I love you. Even if you don't love me, it don't matter. You're going to still get this love. I'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you found some healing, connection, and joy. Until next time, bye, loves.